Alita, Battle Angel, written by James Cameron, directed by Robert Rodriguez, and based on the manga Battle Angel Alita, is an action film that takes place in the year 2563 and follows a young girl named Alita. Alita is found in a scrapyard by a doctor played by Christoph Waltz, and he puts her back together again. However, Alita doesn't remember anything about her past. She knows that she came from a floating city in the sky called Zalem that everyone on the ground level is desperately trying to go to, but that's about all. Eventually, it's realized that Alita is an advanced weapon, putting a huge target on her back that threatens her very existence. As Alita tries to figure out who and what she is, she attempts to thwart some evil forces along the way on the ground of Iron City. Alright, so Alita Battle Angel was not anything I was overly excited for. I knew nothing about the manga, and every time I saw the trailer, I was like, it kind of looks interesting, but also kind of odd at the same time. I gotta say though, I like this movie. I don't think it's an amazing movie in any way aside from the visual effects, but I think it's a fun, enjoyable action film that does provide a lot of excitement to go along with its abundance of heart. There are some issues that I definitely have with it, which I'll get into, but I do want to start off by saying how awesome Alita is as a character. I think she has to be one of the more likable leads I've seen in an action film in quite a while, honestly. There's a lot about Alita that comes across as inherently good, inherently heroic, and that's something that I think a lot of viewers are really going to connect with. There are moments where she acts rash and immature and even somewhat aggressive, but I think it is really important to watch her evolution as a character. Where she starts and where she ends will make you feel like you truly watch the evolution of a character that, simply put, is very special. I really like what Rosa Salazar did with this character, but I can't say I was impressed with every performance in this film. I love Christoph Waltz as an actor, but in this movie he just feels kind of bland. I'm not sure if it's more the performance or more the character, but he just feels uninspired and cliche here. He's the father figure to Alita, and I don't think I quite felt that connection between the two that the movie wants you to. You're supposed to feel why he cares so much for her and how far he's willing to go to help her and even vice versa, but I don't think the movie quite nails the relationship in a way that feels genuine and earned and at the level they want you to, like I mentioned. I did feel the connection between Alita and her love interest Hugo, played by Keean Johnson, who I've never actually seen before, but I also do feel like he's probably one of the weaker links in this movie. His delivery of lines and entire character really just feels pretty bland, which is unfortunate, but it does drag down the film a tad considering the amount of screen time he ends up getting. And finally, both Mahershala Ali and Jennifer Connelly are in this movie too, and I both really enjoy their work. You guys know I love Mahershala, but I think they're a bit wasted here. They have limited screen time and they do make the most of it, but there's not really much to their characters that allows them to do all that much. I was a little surprised with how much star power this movie actually has and how those stars generally don't deliver star level characters, likely due to the writing. Now, as I mentioned, the visual effects are outstanding. These are definitely some of the best visual effects I've seen over the last couple years, and I was really impressed with how lively this world and its inhabitants felt. Most of the citizens are cyborg in one way or another, and I think that this movie very much builds a futuristic atmosphere that allows the viewer to feel like they're going somewhere new. But even with the futuristic elements in play here, there still is a somewhat grittier vibe to the setting, considering it's taking place in a city that's considered to be somewhat lawless, somewhat chaotic, and often pretty dangerous. It's pretty similar to Elysium, if you remember that film, in that the ground level is pretty undesirable and rough, and the elites of the society live in a floating paradise in the sky, and that everyone else is trying to get to that place. A lot of this movie is spent watching the characters dream of reaching Zalem, doing just about anything in an effort to get there. So a lot of the character motivations are pretty straightforward. I mean, their life isn't ideal in Iron City, and they want to go to Zalem by any means necessary. Still, Iron City is basically its own character, and it provides an immersive environment that feels alive, which is great. Some of the action scenes are also extremely riveting. There's a handful of them, particularly a motorball scene that is just high-octane awesomeness. That's the best way to describe it. I was really impressed with the choreography, which admittedly comes across as mostly CG, but it still looks awesome and gets you feeling like an action movie should, exhilarated. I think on the action front, Alita Battle Angel definitely delivers. And it'll provide you with, lots of fun and excitement that you'll likely be looking for going in out of a movie like this. I do feel like they have a tendency to take the CGI to somewhat excessive lengths at times, particularly with some of the characters that after a while feel overly cartoonish, too silly for their own good. And it's tricky because, in this manga, this probably works considering it's not a major motion picture. But in the adaptation process, sometimes things need a little bit of tweaking in order to feel like they're not so over the top. I think that most of the flaws in this movie stem from the narrative. It feels like this ended up being a good movie that could have been a great one. The main narrative flaw that I see is the movie ends up being fairly predictable. There's not many surprises going on here, and it feels like certain characters aren't given enough important things to do, which minimizes our investment in them and the overall weight of this story. It feels very studio-driven, like it doesn't have the confidence to provide something special and outside the norm of genre expectations. There's definitely highs of emotion to be found in this movie. There's lots of those. But I think the predictability of the experience and the shallowness of some of the characters prevent it from being something more. Still, I had a good time with it, and I think you will too, provided you know what to expect going in. As for the pros-cons, for the pros, I think Alita Battle Angel delivers us an awesome protagonist in Alita, some exhilarating action scenes, and very strong visual effects. As for the cons, I think the supporting characters are fairly underwhelming, and the predictability of it all prevents it from achieving greater heights. I'm going to give Alita Battle Angel an 8 out of 10, and recommend you check it out in theaters if you're looking for an exciting and fun action film. This one has a great leading character, and offers enough to justify the price of admission overall. So did you guys see Alita Battle Angel? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. And if you have seen it, let me know what you thought of that ending. It's definitely feeling to me like they're ramping up for sequels to be made, but I think that will greatly depend on the box office performance of this first movie. But that's really up in the air. I really have no idea how this movie's going to do. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that as well. Either way, this is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next video.